So before we move on to the next part, what we need to do is we need to set up another tab here for the manager. So I'm just going to create another tab and we're going to call this manager email. And in here we're going to put service, email and name. The manager email addresses would normally be the person at the school that is managing the whole service learning project. The supervisor would be the supervisor at the service center, but the manager would be at the school. So let's put the services in, service 1. Okay, so that has now been set up. We've got the supervisor and we've got the managers tabs here. Now what we need to do, we need to bring in the information for the supervisor for each of these services as well as the manager. So in order to do that, we have the manager email here and the supervisor email here. So what we need to do is we need to bring them in and add some more columns so they're actually in the record for each of those students. So the email then that's being sent out to the manager and the supervisor can be recognized on that particular record. So we're going to add a column to the right here and we're going to put in here supervisor email. Now we've used this before. We're going to use the match function to match. The search key would be service. Okay, we want to match the service to the range, which would be in the supervisor email. Okay, so this would be column A. So we want to match that to column A, and then we just put a 0 on the end and have a look, and we can see there service 1 is in row 2 on the supervisor, which is that one there. So let's go back and let's copy this down. And when we see here that each of the services, if we go along here, there's our service. So we got 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. So it should be 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. There we go, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. So now what we need to do is then index this so we can pull out the manager's email. All right, so the manager's email is in column B. So we're going to click in here and we're going to index. And the easiest way to do this is just copy this and add that to the index and then put a comma in and then change A to B. And then that should pull in the email and then we can copy that down. So that's the supervisor email. Let's grab the supervisor name as well. So let's put supervisor name and we can just use the same formula but just change a couple of things. So instead of the email column, we now want the name column, which I believe is column C. So just checking, there's the column C, which it is. So we just want to change that to column C, C. There we go, and there's the name, and we can pull that down. So that's the supervisor email and name. Now we want to add the manager's name and email. So let's add another column, and this will be the manager email. And then we can do the same thing again. So we can go equals match, and we're matching the service again, comma, and the range would be the manager's email this time. So column A again, return, and we should bring the 2 back. And then we just need to index that, comma, and change that to column B, which is the email address. And then we have the email coming in, copy that down, add another column, and do the same for the manager name. And change that to column C, as I believe. Yep, column C is the name. Copy that down. So what needs to happen now is once the student fills out the form, we want an email to go to the supervisor asking the supervisor to fill out the approval form. Okay, so this is what we need to do. We need to add an add-on called FormMule. So we're going to launch FormMule and just allow that. Okay, so let's go to FormMule and launch that. Right, so this is the opening screen of FormMule, and we want to select from the form responses form, and we want to trigger this on submit form. We can optionally put some log numbers and URL if we want, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. So we've got on submit form, and then we go to the next sheet, Now, we're going to need different emails sent out. So the first one we need to do is the supervisor one, but we're going to be doing a manager's one as well. So this is as soon as the student has submitted their form, the supervisor will get this email. So let's just do that one for now. Let's call it supervisor email. And this is now setting a condition. For this particular email, we don't really need to set a condition because as soon as it's submitted, we want it sent out. We can send for all rows on this. So, but for future ones, which we'll come to later, we will need to set this. So let's save the template settings. And you can see over here, it's added a new column. All right, so let's go next. And now we're going to build our template on what the email is that's going to be sent out. So who is this going to go to? Well, it's going to go to our supervisor. So let's go down to our supervisor form. So here is our supervisor email. So we click that. We don't really need to copy anybody in, but we could copy the manager in if we wanted to. And then we need our subject. So the subject is quite important. So when the supervisor reads this, they know what they're receiving this email for. So in here, I'm just going to put service for, and then I want the name of the student in here. So let's go up. So name exactly as in PowerSchool. So let's put that. And then on, and then we're going to put the date of service. All right, so it's going to replace this stuff in chevrons by the actual value within the spreadsheet. And then we're going to say dear, and then we want the name of the supervisor. Supervisor name. We can delete this part here. We only want that. And then underneath, let's say we want to put some information about what the supervisor is. So let's put the service area and then say that it's a service area supervisor. So the service area is here. And then let's just delete that. Supervisor. Okay, so let's leave a couple of spaces and then we can just put our body of what we want to say. So I've done this already, so I'm just going to put this in. But you can tailor this to how you want it to look. Okay, so there's my, my email. So now we can press preview and we can see here, this is the service for Han Solo on the 1st of the 14th, 2017. Dear Richard Poff, can you confirm and agree that the service of Han Solo on the 1st, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a form there, okay? And we can click this form just to make sure it goes to the place we need to go. So there's the service. All right, that's fine. That email seems to be okay, and we can test that by clicking on preview and send all. And there's a third one, fourth, and fifth. It's going to send out all those emails. I can send now. Okay, and you can see here it's saying that this email has been sent to rpoth@kis.or.kr. So now let's go to that email. And that's the email that's been received by the supervisor. And what the supervisor will then do is click on the supervisor form and complete it. That's how we set up the supervisor email. In the next video, what we're going to look at is what happens if the supervisor says that the student either didn't attend or didn't meet expectations. So we're going to set up those particular emails that go to the manager.